Hello, Four Star Nation, and welcome to a special Thursday night interview. Tonight, we bring you Western Kentucky football. We have Carlos Locklyn, the running backs coach from Western Kentucky, on with us this evening. Coach Lock, thank you very much for joining us. Coach, I guess my first question is I know just doing a little bit of research on you and talking with people that have known you, I know that you coached at Cordova High School there in Memphis. You also worked for the Memphis Police Department at the same time. And then you actually volunteered, is that correct, with the University of Memphis as your first college coaching gig?
Yes, sir. I worked at several high schools there in the Memphis area. The first high school, Taylor White gave me the former head coach at Tresman, gave me an opportunity to start off there. I was at Tresman for a year. Then I went to Westwood where Brian Williams gave me an opportunity to coach, and I eventually ended up working for Memphis current running back coach Anthony Jones Jr. there at Westwood. Then I went to Manassas High School where my growth really took off. Probably one of the best head coaches I worked for, Carl Coleman there at Manassas High School. Then I ended up at Cordova for 2 successful years there as an offensive coordinator. Once again, working up on the Memphis current running back coach, Anthony Jones Jr., who was head coach at the time. But I was a police officer at South Haven, Mississippi.
Okay. Well, good deal. Coach, when you look at your journey, talk a little bit about what it means to not only coach the position now that you have so much love for as a person who played that position.
Just the journey, getting back into football. A lot of people don't know that aspect of my story. 4 years started there at the University of Tennessee Chattanooga. Had the opportunity to chase my dream of playing professionally. I was a free agent for the Giants, and fortunately, injury cost me that. But and I paid for it now. I just had hip surgery, hip replacement surgery 3 weeks ago. So, I got out of football after that. Played arena football for a while and went to work. But after that, just the journey of starting off there in the city of Memphis, being a local high school coach. I had no dreams or aspirations of coaching college. I just wanted to coach high school ball and give back to that community there in Memphis. And like I said, I tell everybody, I'm always going to view myself as a local Memphis high school coach. And that journey started there on the high school level with those great inner city coaches there in the city of Memphis. And I tell those guys all the time, no matter how far God takes me in this profession, I'm always going to look back because those are guys there in that city I represent. They mean so much to me, those coaches there and where I'm at now on this climb, in this profession. But it has been a journey. Nothing was given to me. I worked for every bit of it. I worked for it, working at nighttime on my jobs, 10, 12 hours, showing up at Memphis every day, volunteering, went from my volunteer to getting on as a coach there, still working my job the first 2 years. In my third year, I was blessed by Coach Norvell to be his director of high school relations for a year there at Memphis. Then he asked me to go to Florida State, and making that jump, and for him to ask me that, I got on that immediately, and that relationship means a lot to me, having that relationship with Mike Norvell. So it has been a journey. It has been hard, but it's been fair.
Yeah. Speaking of relationships and appreciation, talk a little bit about your appreciation for the game as being a former player of the game and then now being coach, but also talk a little bit about your appreciation for the coaches like a Mike Norvell that you've had a chance to learn and really just hone in on your craft under.
I'm gonna speak on the coaching aspect first. It's so many guys that have played an important part in me being where I'm at now. And it's guys you'll never ever really heard of. One of them who got me started in high school was Glenn Rogers, who's over there at MUS. Very close friend of mine. Glenn got me started in high school. He was the guy that talked to me, saying, "Hey, go in the inner city, go coach high school football." And been friends with him since, and I always lean on and look at him as a mentor. Another guy, Edward Jacobs, a local guy there in the city of Memphis. People do not know, and I sit here right now as a college football coach because of that gentleman. I was about to give up from coaching, and he told me, "Don't stop." He said, keep coaching. He said, I believe in you. Keep coaching. He taught me back into coaching high school ball. And another guy, his name was Marco Goodman, a local engineer there in town. Another guy who, everywhere that I went, he always followed me and helped me coach and poured into me a lot. So I sit here because of those guys that you may not know. Those are the guys the local guys that poured into me. And then on the collegiate level, Dr. Sherman J. Moore is a guy who used to be the former director of high school relations there. Recruiting there at Memphis, poured a lot into me. David Yak Johnson, along with Mike Novell, and the guy who let me in the door, Josh Storms. So it's been a ton of guys who have poured into me as a coach. Now, just the journey of coaching the position of running back, a position I hold dear to my heart, and I was fortunate enough to be at Memphis. Around some good coaches, but I was fortunate to be at Memphis around some great players, guys who I have like great relationships with to this day. Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Patrick Taylor, Antonio Gibson, and my youngin, as I call him, Kenny Gainwell, who I just talked to yesterday. He should be in Philly as of today. Those relationships are so important to me, and I'm not just talking about football. I consider those young men my family. I text those young men every morning for the past 2 years. They get a text from me every morning. Wow. And just telling them I'm thinking about it or try to give them some inspirational word. But those relationships mean a lot to me, and something that I learned on this journey. When I first started off over there in Memphis, I was working so hard because I wanted to get recognized as a coach. And something that I learned. You don't always get recognized for the things that you do. But the reason why you do them because you want to see others succeed, not just players, but coaches that you work up on as well. And that's something that I learned on this journey. Because like I said, it really has been it's been a hard journey.
Coach, talking about the hard journey, now that you are at Western Kentucky, talk a little bit about what it's like to have a university call your name and say, hey, we want you to come in and lead our running back room and, mold our guys in your vision of the running back.
Well, that's one thing about that. I don't look at this as being my first job as being a running back coach.
Right.
Because I carried myself that way at the University of Memphis. I didn't care who had what title. Titles are titles. It's the impact that you make on your players around you. So I always carried myself as a running back coach. Those titles are given. Respect is earned. I figured I earned the respect of those running backs I was around, and I earned the respect of those players. But having my own room per se now, I learned so much last year down there at Florida State, being with David Yak Johnson on how to interact with the players, and Coach Yak poured a lot into me, and I learned a lot of things from him. But having my own room now, I'm continuing doing the same things. I'm pouring into making, creating great young men, great citizens, not just football players. So this is something I do on the daily. So it hasn't been that much of a change for me because this is something I have been doing since I've been coaching football, period.
Right. Coach, talking about, and I do want to talk about more about Western Kentucky, but Florida State, I mean, it's Tallahassee. I've only driven by the stadium, and I was literally just blown away at just the sheer size of it. Talk a little bit about what it was like to be down there last season, and just all that tradition down there.
Well, number one, it was an absolute blessing just to be there. You got to think about it, for Mike Novell to ask me to come there, and I'm a guy that don't nobody know. Yeah. Nobody knew me. was always around the running backs there in Memphis, but for him to ask me to come there, that was a great honor for me. And just to get down there and to make some of the relationships I was able to build with guys like, I never imagined that I'll actually be able to text Charlie Ward and he texts me back. And that's a guy I became friends with, or Snoop Menace, or something. I'm talking about Marvin Shade Tree Jones, or Corey Simon. These guys that I still text right now.
Wow.
I text them right now, and they'll text me back to see how I'm doing. They'll reach out to me, but all that was afforded by Coach Novell. He believed in me to bring me down there because I'm big on building relationships outside of the football aspect. But just being there and having a chance to meet Coach Bowden, meet Coach Andrews, just to meet some of these great guys, and man, I'm talking about that was a great experience for me, and it fed my inner hunger just to want us to see in this business, but also it showed me a couple of things. I want to make sure I do people the right way, because like I said, for me, that wasn't always so in this profession. Like I said, I have my hardships, but one thing I said that I was going to do, I was going to make sure I treated people better than I was treated. That the next guy that's coming up, that I was going to make sure that I treated him better than I was treated coming in profession. Have open arms, be able to share information with guys on how to get into the business. Because like I said, this business is about relationships, about being a people person. And that's something that I pride myself on being.
Yes, most definitely. Carlos Locklyn joining us tonight from Western Kentucky Football. This is 4-Star Sports Show presented by BA Masks. BA Mask, leading edge in face mask, football, baseball, lacrosse, and more. For more, reach out to bamask.com. Coach Locklyn, when you look at Western Kentucky and we look at this season upcoming, let's talk a little bit about spring football. What did you learn coming in about not only the running backs, your position that you coach, but a little bit about the staff that you're working with and also the university as a whole?
First, just my head coach, Tyson Helton. Great. I'm talking about absolutely great guy. He's somebody I actually met some years ago when he first got to Tennessee. And two of my young guys from Cordova ended up going to Tennessee, Jerome Carvin and Jeremy Banks. And we had a brief interaction with each other there. But getting here, working for him, you're talking about a guy who's all about family. He's not a guy that talks about it. He really believes in having that family atmosphere. He pours into you by letting you work. He lets you work, and like I said, you talking about a great guy. I always come by my room. If he come by here, I'll kind of hold him hostage because I'm football 24/7. Like I said, when they ask me about being in the office, like would I be at night? I'm always up here. I'm in here now. I'm in here watching film now. So that's because this football is not a hobby for me. It's my passion. It's my life. It's something that I've been around since I've been a young kid there in Montgomery, Alabama. But like I said, just being here and being around this staff, these guys are great staff, great group of men who all have the same goal in mind. That is to build great young men. And like I said, the running backs in my room, like I said, I've been around some great backs. So the standard for me at running back is pretty high. And like I said, on my back wall, I have a picture of Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Patrick Taylor, and Kenny Gainwell. I have pictures of those guys. So I tell my guys, that's the standard. That's my standard. That's what I know. But I got a great room in here. These guys, they got better as the spring went on. Actually had a young man who actually was a walk-on, who actually in my room, who actually earned a scholarship by his play that he had this spring.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Yeah, man. I was excited for him, but we got a great young OC, young guy. I'm talking about fiery. Have learned a lot from being around him. Like I said, great staff, offense and defensive wise. Great group of men. And like I said, I actually love coming in to work. And every place I'm being at, I love coming in to work. Like I said, I do miss my guy down there at Tallahassee. I do miss him. But I love coming in to work here and being around these guys here.
Coach, talk a little bit about what it's like to have four players like the four running backs that you've alluded to from the University of Memphis, and just how successful they've been. And I'm sure you were a very intricate part of that.
Well, it wasn't just when I first got there to Memphis. Coach Darryl Dickey was the running back coach there, and I think about the backs that was in that room, Dorland Dorsius, along with Darrell Henderson, who was young at the time, and with Patrick Taylor, and also Tony Pollard. Those guys, and I tell them all the time, those guys embraced me when I got there. But not just when you think of running backs in that room, you're going to hear the name of Darrell Henderson. You're going to hear Tony Pollard, Patrick Taylor, of course, Antonio Gibson, who had played part-time running back there, and Kenny Gainwell. But it was some other great kids in that room. Kylan Watkins, and the guy that's there now, Asa Martin, Rodriguez Clark. It was just a great room. Tim Taylor, Marquavius Weaver. It was just a bunch of great kids in that room, and it was a joy just to show up to Memphis every day to be able to pour into those guys. Obviously, I wasn't the running back coach. The running back coach that they got there now. Great coach in his own right, Anthony Jones Jr. But I was just fortunate enough to just be around the program and able to pour into those backs in the way that I could. But those guys in that room, the five guys who went on to play professionally now, for me, they will always be the standard for wherever I go, because those are the guys that I was around. Actually, when I recruit, those skill sets that I look for in the back, I kind of look at those guys on things that I want to look for in the certain systems that I may be coaching running backs in. But those guys, man, you talking about a phenomenal group that Mike Norvell was able to recruit there, the things he was able to do there with those backs. I'm talking about, like I said, those guys, they might be always second behind the great D'Angelo Williams, but the Memphis running back history there at that university has been great.
Well, when you look at Western Kentucky, I went back and looked at some stats from last year, but I understand football. That's last season. That's over with and done with. You got to move on to this year. Coach, give me some guys or give our fans some guys that we need to keep our eye on, not just at the running back position, but team whole from Western Kentucky coming up to next season. And also, what is your outlook or what is your expectations for next season?
My expectation is just coach as hard as I can, be the best assistant coach I can be, and be the best position coach I can be. And I believe if I do that and pour into these guys, the outcome will be great. For us players, I think we got a good quarterback that we have in now. I think he's a pretty good player. We have some tremendous receivers. I just don't like singling out certain players, but I think
right. No, yeah, I understand.
Group of receivers. I think our O-line is going to be good. Defensive wise, like I said, we got the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year coming back, and that's always good. We have some good guys back on the back end and secondary, and of course at running back, I plan on us improving a great deal in at that position and what we were able to do in the run game. Because like I said, I told my guys this, I'm going to pour into you every day. Every day I'm going to pour into you. Like I said, I think our GPA here this spring as a group was a 3.0, and that's something that I harped on that aspect of things. But I'm excited about all the guys, not just one in particular, about all the guys. I'm excited about what we're able to build here and the players that we have coming in. I'm truly excited about it.
Coach, give me some games that some fans need to have circled on the Western Kentucky calendar this year.
All the games are important, of course.
Right.
To me, every game is a big game, but the Indiana game, the Michigan State game, the Marshall game, and I say Marshall is one name that when you ask me about coaches who have been a big influence in my life, it's a guy there in Marshall. Dominique Bowman, who coached with me there at Cordova, he means a lot to me. Absolutely a lot. We coached together at Cordova, and you talking about a guy who kept me encouraged on some really hard days there at Cordova, and we both kind of got the same journey, working at nighttime, showing up at Cordova coaching. But that'll be a big game for me, because that guy there, I view him like a brother. So we kind of came up through the high school ranks together. Now he's the DB coach up there at Marshall, but that's a guy who had a big effect on me as well. But I would say the Indiana, Michigan State, Marshall, all the games are big to me, but those three ones I pretty much got marked on the calendar.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for this great interview tonight. It's been roughly 20 minutes. I really hope that our fans have enjoyed learning a little bit more about Western Kentucky football, and we hope to have you and more coaches on in the future, Coach.
Well, I look forward. Anytime you need my help, just reach out to me. I always answer. So, like I said, doing a great job down there. Like I said, I know my body is up here at Western Kentucky where I coach, but like I said, my heart will always be there in the local high school coaches there in Memphis, and I always be a big supporter of Memphis University as well.
Thank you very much, Coach. 4-Star Nation, we've had a great interview tonight. Thank you.